Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Around the ACL. It's Michelle Thompson here with Trey Ryder and Anthony Ione. And we just came off of our third shootout. Where are we? And the Superhole event that happened in Miami. And simultaneously, we had Open number 12 happening in Tiverton, Rhode Island. So really fun weekend. And then it's still going. We got more coming this weekend. We're heading to Texas. So
run it back.
Right back to back. And then right after that, our next national. So exciting month of May. We're gonna get into all of it. But first of all, how are you guys doing? That was a short weekend, but it felt long to me, I guess, because of the travel part.
Yeah, it was not short, I guess, in that regard. It was good. It was good. You know, all things considered, it could have been hotter. It could have been. It could have been like, you know, when you think Miami and like the summer's time, you're like, I'm gonna die outside, and we didn't die outside, so that wasn't bad. The celebrities had a good time. Charlotte Flair was really cool to meet. It was so was Vinny was awesome. I mean, both of them were kind of you know, were fun. They were a lot of fun to lead up. And then how about the Airbnb? Anthony and I just shut down the Airbnb on Thursday night. I mean, just taking down the house in cornhole. And then Michelle was out there. She's just berating Bernie the entire time she's playing him outside. That was definitely not me, but it was Michelle that was just absolutely berating Bernie.
You just said that so casually. Bernie was playing cornhole.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a good bit too. It wasn't like
we played three games.
Yeah, he played hours. It felt like.
Dude, Trey's a sweat. He came out there and was just running us on the boards, like
11 bags in a row.
Sleeper.
I did throw 11 a bag. Anthony, at one point, I did the math, Anthony. I think you threw 21 out of 24, and I threw 19 out of 24, and that was like.
I thought it was going to be we're kicking back a few. You know, I thought it was going to be a fun game, and then Trey's like, "Let's go," and I was like, "All right, let's have some fun." And then after 11 in a row, I'm like, "All right, this ain't. Hold my beer." Hold my beer. This isn't fun anymore. This is serious.
Well, I told Tony comes up to me and he's like, "All right, let's play." So I play and he destroys me. And I'm like, I said, "You got to come back after I've had a few." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And so then we play this game and Tony comes back and at that point it's late at night and that's when you were like, then I had a few and I was like, "Okay, Tony, let's play." And that's when you went live, Anthony.
Oh, man.
I went up 4-0 on him. I went up on 4-0 on the guy that won the shootout this weekend. I lost 21-11 to the guy who won the shootout this weekend. I'm just saying.
Feeling good.
Oh, it was closer than that. It was 12-9. Trey's knocking down airmail like they're layups. I'm like, what is going on here? That was fun. Yeah, the Airbnb was fun. You and Meesh handled me and Bernie. We showed a little light there. I think we won one game, and then you guys just smoked us out in the last one. But hey, Bernie, he said he's really hard on himself, right? He's like, I suck at this game. He said he hadn't thrown bags in years. He was good. Like, I mean, for a guy who's not throwing bags in years, he's fine. He is fine, but he is so hard on himself.
Yeah, he's got the technique. I mean.
Just not
Jeff is going to hate me when I say that. Jeff is going to hate me when I say this, but I think Bernie would give Jeff a run for his money. I think it would be a close game.
I'll buy that Bernie gets McGarriger. Let's go. How do we set that up?
Buy or sell today. Yeah, he just has the wrong attitude, right? So it's interesting because like Jeff is just starting to learn, but he's got a positive mindset attitude. You know, Bernie's like yelling at himself. He's frustrated when he misses, like wrong attitude, but has natural talent for it. So like, I don't know.
Yeah, Michelle and I won on pure positive energy. I think I yelled positive energy 87 times in that game. Mostly I was yelling positive energy in Anthony's eardrum as he stood next to me while I was throwing. So
hey, I gotta say though, Trey might be the king of talking shit, man. I mean, I was loving it. I was like, oh, this guy gets in. He gets after you. I was like, let's go.
Hey, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
We got on the basketball court too. I got to say, Noel Monza's got a nice stroke. This guy is he's got a good jumper. And then Matt surprised me. We were playing the night before. What's his official title?
Matt Morantz is an executive producer for us this year.
Oh yeah, he was. He said I had. played when he was in college, but it's been, he's an older guy like me. He probably hasn't shot a ball in 20 years. He came out real nice too. He actually won. He won that one of the horse matches. We went opposite hand, and he was stroking with his left. Like, I was like, okay, here we go. That was a good time. It was a good time.
It was a great house. Awesome time in Miami. But definitely a little tired on this end and rolling into the next two events. But let's get into the event. The Superhole, our winners were Vinny G and Jeremy Schermerhorn, which wasn't surprising. Vinny definitely had the most experience out of the four. I think 2 out of the 4 had never thrown a bag ever. I think Food God and Marisol had never thrown a bag. So, that's tough.
It showed.
Yeah. But I will say Marisol told me she's completely addicted and she already went online to buy boards. So, I mean, we got a convert. So there's that. For shootout in women's singles, Rosie Streaker defeats Lori Duell. For men's singles, Tony Smith takes down Jimmy Humans. And then our doubles champions were Jeremy Frazier and Noah Almanza. Great shootout and Superhole, great event. Trey, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so first, my eyes are kind of all drawn to Tony Smith, at least out of the gate. One, because he got manhandled by me in cornhole, and so I'm going to continue to brag on that for weeks to come.
Never gets old.
Yeah, it will not get old. Sorry, Tony. So no, but part of the reason is when we got into the house, and the players didn't, Jimmy and Tony did not realize the event was outside. So they had about 24 to 30 hours to really prepare for the idea that this was going to be outside in Miami, in the humidity and all that. So initially out of the gate, Tony was like, oh, good, because I only brought slinkies. He said, I've been trying to throw slinkies, been trying to throw faster bags. And he almost felt annoyed at himself for that. Like he almost like lost respect for himself when he had like demoted himself to throwing fast bags. But
it wasn't just a carpet bag. He threw the stickiest carpet bag on the planet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like, so when he's like, I brought out faster bags, I was like, look what is happening. I said, I was talking to him about it. I was like, look what the case is with Devin Harbaugh right now. Look what Devin Harbaugh has done, right? He went from a guy that was throwing the slowest of slow bags, and now he's sped up a little bit, right? But in no way, shape, or form is anybody out here saying that Devin Harbaugh is only throwing slick side bags and just sliding every bag into the hole. It's about becoming a little bit more balanced. And so I say all of that to say it was really cool to see Tony Smith make that adjustment, and that's why he won. We talked about Tony Smith having this struggle with finishing. He finished because he took on that scale of 1 to 10 of being the slowest slow bag player and the fastest fast bag player. He normally resides in that 2 to 3 range, and all he did was need to go up to a 4, right? But going up to a 4 allowed him to put more bags in the hole. He still made a critical clutch roll bag. He still blocked the hole and bunched it up when he needed to in order to score points. He was still able to be effective. But that stretch where he put 12 bags in the hole in a row is really what ultimately led to him being successful, especially in that shootout format. So I just give a shout out and kudos to slip there, but makes sense to Tony Smith, because he finally made that small adjustment that we've been looking for. And although he may not love it mentally, right, if he learns to embrace it, I think it's going to give him even more to become an even better player. So shout out Tony there. Rosie, we knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when. It was cool to see her here. Lori's going to be kicking herself. She had that game in hand and let it slip away. I know she's going to be kicking herself for a while, but ultimately this felt like something I was just expecting Rosie to eventually get a shootout win. And I don't really have much analysis on the Almanza Frazier win, simply because Brett and Matt just didn't show up. I mean, Almanza and Frazier certainly took advantage, which is what you need to do. And they'll gladly take their ticket into that Pro Shootout championship. But I went back and rewatched it to try to grab highlight clips, and I couldn't find anything from the game. I mean, it was, a Frazier and Almanza, they put more bags in the hole and didn't make a lot of mistakes and didn't throw any 4s or 6s or they just didn't have these weird rounds. Aside from Matt and Brett saying, what the hell happened? Where'd they go? To me, it felt like a really good, they did most of the work getting to the broadcast court. And now they're that team that has taken a spot from somebody else that we expected to be there in the end.
So true. Anthony, what do you think?
Yeah, your comments about Tony Smith, and it's slinky season for Tony Smith. He's going to tell you first thing, slinky season. I agree. He kind of feels like he's demoted himself to not throwing a carpet style bag. But I told him right away, I was like, honestly, man, I love it. I love that you're throwing this bag because he has been throwing such a difficult bag for so long that his roll bag technique, the position it needs to be in, his ability to hop or bicycle, his ability to cut is so perfect. You put now a slinky in his hand, it's almost like training yourself with a slide right to throw a flat bag, and then when you go to any other bag, you can be successful. He's trained himself with the toughest bag to throw in that combat. You put a slinky in his hand now, and let's keep in mind, it's still a slow speed bag. I mean, if it's that surefire-like material, I don't know convicts inside and out, but I bet it's still like a 4 or 5 speed on the slow side. So it's nothing crazy. He's able to roll them. He's still able to cut them. He's still able to do everything he likes to do. He's not skipping anymore. It's now a slide shot. He's taking that combat skip out of it. So now I think he's just improving his possibilities of scoring in a round with the hole friendliness that he's going to get out of the slinky. So I think he's going to be really, really good with him. And it showed. It showed out there. Rosie Streaker and Duel, man, 9-2 after the 5th round. That 3-bag wedge up the right side absolutely killed Lori. I mean, if anything fell, that's her. It was her game to win. I'm sitting there going, there is something to be said about a sacrificial bag. If you're looking at a likely clog situation where you have multiple bags on the hole, in her case, she had 2. Why not sacrifice that bag? Ram up the side of those just to guarantee those 2 go in. But she stayed middle slick side, and the worst thing happened, and it clogged on her. I mean, that round was devastating. And then, Streaker went on to win it. If you go back to their previous match 2 years ago, they were in this same situation. It was Streaker versus Duel. Streaker, if you watch that match back, everything's off the back. She must have thrown 7 bags off the back. She could not control the speed. I want to say she was throwing, I think it was a slick side game changer at the time. She showed a little sign of that in like the 3rd or 4th round. She, one off the back, one back of the hole, gave up she threw a 5 in that round and Duel scored some points off of it. So I got nervous for her, but then she came back and she got it done. She took advantage of that 3-bag wedge and finished strong. So bunch of people in the stands for her, a lot of family there. So a little pressure maybe, with everyone watching live. I'm sure she wanted to get it done. The 2nd place queen was starting to kind of, maybe that tagline was going to follow her a little bit. But she gets it done out there. And yeah, your comments on the guy Almanza Frazier match, to me, it was the Almanza show. He had one round where he threw a 7. Everything else, he absolutely killed it. If you look at some of the stats, he was the only one that really threw pro level stats. Everything else was bad. I mean, we're talking about guys in the 7s. So it was a weird game, but Noah Almanza definitely stood out in that one for me.
Absolutely. And then, like I said, at the same time, we had the Open happening in Rhode Island, and our singles champion there was Kyle Malone, doubles champions Berkeley Pear and Cameron D'Ambrosia, women's singles Connie Altice, senior singles Frank Monlin, and junior singles Landon Bass. I gotta say, I was shocked at the doubles. I'm sorry, what? What happened there? All those people. How many teams were there?
Yeah, there were like 451 teams, I believe.
451 teams.
We're pushing almost 1,000 players at an Open. That is amazing.
Yes, with a lot of top tier pros. And Berkeley Pear, I mean, I didn't get to watch all of it, but what I saw, very impressive, and got it done with Cameron. So really, really huge win for them. But what are your thoughts, Trey?
I actually just pulled up like my app. I wanted to see exactly where they finished. They went 5-1 in rounders, right? So I was trying to put together like what exactly their path looked like, and it's just they were just a little bit better than everybody they played. I don't really know how to go into it too much, right?
Well, who was in their bracket?
Yeah, so if I go here, doubles tier 1, are they in A?
I'll go into it if you want. I was going to save it for my closing remarks. I wanted to close it out on this, but since we're here, let's just get there. Berkeley pair absolutely carried this tournament, hands down. Berkeley pair carried this tournament. If you look at, he absolutely destroyed his opponents through the entire tournament. Check this out. His partner Cameron, hey, the guy he wasn't on my radar at all. He had a decent bag, but let's just say it as it is. He was outscored in his bracket in every single game but one. In the bracket win, he gave up 17 of the 20 points. Wow. Pair went God mode. He outscored Fincham 16-2. They barely pull that win out 21-0. The Cameron kid through in the championship match. That's really the only time he really came through for pair. He scored against Kyle Malone, but it didn't really matter. They won 21-6. It's Berkeley pair that came in there. Birchfield scored 0 points on Berkeley pair in the final. He put up 15 of the 21 points. He absolutely rolled that entire tournament. He was the dominant player in that. He threw unconscious gas in that. That's how you want to break that one down. It was all Berkeley pair, 100%.
Interesting.
Yeah, he kind of – I was just looking through game by game, and they didn't play a ton of pro teams early. They definitely played some late. And even when I look at Berkeley's stats, though, it's like I wish I had an opportunity to go back and watch every single game that they played all day, because it really doesn't even make that much sense to me. If we look at statistically across the entire tournament, Berkeley pair threw a 9.69 PPR. Pretty good, right?
Look at that DPR.
DPR was 1.3.
Bam.
Wow.
So that makes a big deal. Now, if I look for Cameron,
you're going to see negative. You're going to see
he
negative.
was a negative 0.36 the entire weekend.
He was outscored on the weekend and pair carried. Bottom line, the dude went God mode, and he did it in singles as well. He threw really, really well in singles. Berkeley pair was fire this weekend.
I'm just as stunned as you are, Michelle. I got to give a credit, though. So I'll let Anthony is right. But the one thing I'll say is, how many times do you hear me on this show say, you have to be the partner? And he was the partner. He may have given up more points, but when he needed to show up, he showed up, right? I mean, I kind of was looking what you were looking, Anthony. I saw them against Austin Cameron, who was likely to be he's got pro level talent, and he should end up pro next year. I believe he's turning 18, so he'll be no longer in a U18 pool. The guy is a really top level talent. He should be top 30 next year, guaranteed. Whatever that upside is, right? When I saw them play, I was like, okay, this is where the magic runs out, right? This is where it falls apart, and they found a way to win. So to an extent, I can say, yes, Berkeley carried the day, but you can only absolutely carry someone so far. This was, I mean, it's just being a great partner. I don't know. It was a weird result. It was
weird. Very weird.
What wasn't a weird result was Kyle Malone versus Devin Harbaugh in the finals.
Oh my God, that match was so fun.
That was not shocking. That was probably the least shocking thing that I've seen in a while. But yeah, I mean, yeah, just jumping into singles, Michelle. For me, Kyle was unconscious with that airmail. I mean, just absolutely absurd, ridiculous with the airmail. He must have hit. I mean, we don't track this, so it's impossible to tell. He had to have hit 65 to 70% on the day, maybe even more, which was really impressive to see. Devin Harbaugh at times looked like the best player on the day. I would argue, like, if Harbaugh doesn't have that absolute marathon of a match in the previous one, like, there were times where I don't think Harbaugh played his best game in the finals in comparison to what he had been throwing all day. I mean, there were people that he played in bracket play, and even into the beginning of that final bracket, I was like, this guy is never going to lose again, ever. But he didn't play, and Kyle did. And Kyle had a little, and like, it was weird. Like, Kyle, like, didn't play that well in the semifinals, but he found a way to win. And then we got in the finals, he was throwing really well. So it was just, I think there was a peak and valley situation that worked out. But regardless, those two, like I said, they're top 5 or 10 players in the world, depending on which list you look at. So it was really impressed to see there. Cheyenne continues to be just really good. Tony Smith,
yes,
almost swept the entire, almost swept the entire weekend. He was, again, once he started making that change to that hybrid, more of a hybrid style,
yes,
he saw that success. Amateur Braden Wilson continues to flash, continues to really wow people. Be interesting to see how his entire season gets seen all the way through. Michael Dingus, kind of like a weird breakout player. He gets in there. I know, gets into that final 8. Brady Foster, just another amateur player that had a really strong run. Took out Ryan Smith. I thought Ryan Smith was for sure going to take down that bracket, and he, Foster threw really well. So not a ton of surprise. The doubles was shocking to me, but to an extent, singles was not, based on how the brackets laid out. It was a little bit of an odd open because it was the largest open ever, but there was a large number of amateur players, right? If you look at like Virginia Beach and you look at Myrtle Beach and what those opens were, they were a little bit smaller in size, but the percentage of pro players that they had was high, right? Or if it wasn't high, it was, 30% pros or something like that. For an open, that's a really big number. This felt closer to like 15%, like almost half. So it was an interesting, bracket, how it laid out. It looked like I'd look at one bracket and there's, based on how the seating worked out, it was like I had all these, a bunch of pros in one bracket kind of fighting against one another. And then I look at another bracket, it was kind of, void of, more than 2 or 3 pros, which was interesting. So overall, kudos to everybody that showed up for Rhode Island. I thought it was a really cool weekend to watch. A lot of different various storylines. Some things shocked us, but some things didn't as well.
Yeah. Anthony, you want to add to anything on the singles side?
That's a good lead in to, that lead in saying there was a real heavy amateur pool. And you spread them out across 8 brackets. That's a good lead into this point. Check this out, guys. So we have, however many hundreds of players out there in this one, 8 brackets. So you're spreading out that elite level talent with a really, really deep amateur pool. And this is the only way that I could kind of process this, but I found this was interesting. Jeremiah Hector, he gets to the king seat match, not one opponent over a 9. Gavin Cano gets to the king seat match, not one opponent through over 9. Alex Rawls takes the king seat, 1 opponent through over 9. Same thing with Bass, takes the king seat, 1 opponent over 9. Brady Foster wins his bracket. Only 1 opponent was able to throw over a 9. We talked about Michael Dingus. So happy to see him make a deep run. I really wish we could have got his bracket final on the broadcast. I really wanted to sit through and watch a whole Michael Dingus match. I just want to see where his game is at right now. Wins his bracket. Not 1 opponent over 9, and he only had 1 opponent over 8. That kind of blew my mind.
Wow.
Cheyenne Bubenheim wins her bracket. Not 1 opponent through over a 9.0. So I think that was a good lead-in to your point about how we had a real heavy amateur field. And meanwhile, some players didn't have a great path. Check this out. Berkeley Pear He goes 20 rounds of a 10-5-5 versus Tony Smith and loses, while Cheyenne Bubenheim is winning a bracket without an opponent going over 9. Tony Smith threw 74 of 80 bags in the hole. So, Trey, I just looked real quick. 6,000 people have watched you handle Tony Smith in the first half of the match. Just saying. 6,000 people watched that match on Cornhole Science. So, yeah, so that's tough. You know, you have these people that kind of had essentially an easier path through the bracket, and then some just ran into each other, and it got ugly in that one. I thought the Eddie Wanker, I hope I'm saying that right, and the Brady Foster double dip, that was an awesome match. Two kids that haven't been on my radar. I recognize the Foster name of someone who went, I believe he went deep in the qualifier. I want to say he was like one match away from going pro, so I do recognize the name, but I haven't seen him play. Both boys had all the shots. Rolls, step out game was on point. Using the slick side with comfort. You can see why those guys were in a bracket final. Yeah, and then that final, Tony Smith versus Harbaugh. You said that one. That match was absolute fire. It's pretty cool to see Tony Smith transitioning a few more roll bags to airmail. So he's throwing more airmail with these slinkies, but he still has the ability to roll. And I love that he's not depending on the roll 9 out of 10 times. He's kind of splitting it up, 50-50. I'm going to throw 5 airmail and I'm going to roll 8 or roll 5 out of a 10 shot setup. So good to see that hybrid game kind of showing and highlighting his ability to airmail. And let's face it, he has a nasty airmail. He might be rolling bags, but the dude has a ridiculous airmail. Devin Harbaugh's cut bag is absolutely ridiculous. He has to get that thing standing up on its side more than most people. So he almost has the ability to take to hang a hard left. The bag will hit and then it just goes just a hard left. So it's I think Alex Hicks calls it a tomahawk or something like that. But he has the ability to just hang a hard left. The dude is so nice. I mean, if you talk about like a Tony Smith and a Harbaugh and you go, what makes an elite level player? Well, let's look at it. Where are you at in shootouts? You talk about a Tony Smith locked up a shootout. Where are you at in opens? These guys are winning opens or in the bottom of the opens. Where are you at in locals and conferences, winning conferences? And I think that's what makes a guy like Malone so special. He's winning conferences, he's locking up shootouts, and he's winning opens. What's left? He's doing it all in every category. Let's go to the national. He was one game away from a bracket final, I believe it was. I want to say it was a bracket final. He's won a game where so he's doing it all at all levels. A guy like Malone right now is absolutely nasty and could easily slip into top 5 in the world.
Absolutely. Moving into our news around the league, we've got a new partner pairing. Steven Bernison and Derek King become pro partners for the remainder of the season. Also, Lexi Hugeback is going to be a medical redshirt for the rest of the season. So Emily Downer and Brandy McBride are going to team up for the rest of the season. Wishing Lexi a speedy recovery. I know she really, really wants to play and wants to push through, but you got to take care of your body, and she's an athlete. She plays basketball, so that kind of stuff can happen. We also had the Colorado State Championship singles. Jackson Remick took the win, and doubles Jackson Remick and Gavin Hammond. It's not even fair in Colorado anymore. These guys just took over. Like, is everyone frustrated over there?
Damn, young kids taking over, man. Everywhere. The young kids are taking over everywhere.
So not fair. The New Mexico State Championship singles, Sebastian Alvarado, doubles, Sebastian Alvarado and Rudy Apodaca. I want to say, yeah, that's what it is. Let's go with that. Congratulations to all those winners. And let's now go into our Pro Shootout number 4 and Superhole, and then we have our Pros versus Joes. So lots of fun events coming up this weekend. For the Superhole, we have Jackson Olson from the Savannah Bananas teaming up with Deborah Odom, Paige Hathaway, who's a fitness model with AJ Sims, Kendall Toole from Peloton with Alan Rawls, and Christy Carlson Romano, an actress with Dylan Turpin. What you got there, Trey?
Well, first of all, I've been prepping all week. I just about an hour ago got off my 20-minute climb ride with Kendall Toole, getting ready for the weekend. So
I almost took her class today. I almost did it. It'll kick your ass, Michelle. It's a climb. It's
Wait,
nonstop.
Did you say 20 miles?
20 minutes.
Oh, I was like, well, okay.
No, but she got in one of those modes. I love Kendall. So first of all, I'm the most starstruck that I've ever been. We've had all these big celebrities going back to last year, the year before, all this. Never been starstruck. I'm starstruck this weekend. I get to meet. She's my all-time favorite instructor on Peloton. I've taken her classes probably 150 times. So
wow.
she is, yes, this guy's excited. So
that's awesome.
I say all that to say, I'm pumped. But yeah, you can take the class, Michelle, and get into the zone, because she gets in one of her,
should. Yeah,
she gets in one of her like insane modes where she just starts yelling at you, and it's so much fun, and it's awesome. But I'm pumped. So we got Kendall there. So but then I'm really excited for Jackson Olsen. So for those that don't know, like this is what I'm identifying is like some people are like, who is Jackson Olsen? And then the people who know him are like jumping through their seats, because the Savannah Bananas are becoming really, really popular in the Southeast. And now they're going on this nationwide tour. Think Harlem Globetrotters for baseball. And they've created this insane and fun environment around the baseball games that they put on. They got dance routines. They got these weird rules. They got like, it's so social media focused. They got social media teams running on and off the field, filming everything while live play is going on. It's like, it's so fun. And so Jackson is like the captain of the team, and he's one of the big stars. So he's going to be there. I think he's going to have a great time. He does a lot of stuff with like The Greatest Showman. And does a lot of choreographed dance routines around that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then, Paige Hathaway is a lot of followers, does a ton of stuff on fitness influencing and everything like that on Instagram. She's going to be a great addition. And then, of course, we got Kim Possible. I mean, we got Kim Possible and Even Stevens combined in one. Christy Carlson Romano.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's Kim Possible.
I used to love that show.
Yeah, she's Kim Possible, and then she was on Even Stevens. She was the sister on Even Stevens.
Okay, I can't picture the face because I used to watch that show too, but it's just been so long.
Yep. So
funny.
so she's been really excited for this. So I think it's a great lineup. I'm really excited. I think they're going to bring a lot of energy. Again, the kind of the model for Superhole this year has just been reaching all the different various audiences across very different demographics, right? We got, baseball fans that are, into that family fun. You got, all the millennials that grew up on Kim Possible. You got all the people, a lot of people into fitness who are on Instagram and obviously those others of us that are obsessed with Peloton instructors. So
I wanted Cody. I would be starstruck by Cody Rigsby, I promise you. So I understand your Kendall starstruckness. I get it.
Yes, it'll be fun.
We also have the Pro Shootout and the Pros versus Joes. We have our list of attendees. Anthony, anyone sticking out to you there for the shootout?
Yeah, I was just bear with me, just kind of going through this one here. I mean, in doubles, I see Wooten and Kingfisher on there. Most people would be like, they wouldn't even consider them two as a win. But I would say, hey, watch out for this sleeper team. Most people don't know Kingfisher yet. I think he's way better than most people know. And the two of them could get hot. Again, a shootout format, 10 rounds. They play that style of game where they can run bags or manufacture points. I think they would be tough. Alan Rawls and Chris Kingsbury again. I kind of want these guys to win something big now. I mean, I think they've shown that they are, they're always deep. They're always right there. Hey, why not throw a Rawls and a Kingsbury in a shootout format? And I think that they play a uniquely speed controlled game that maybe most people wouldn't know about. I think they're going to be really tough to deal with. Soprenet and Thorne teaming up for this one, both breaking out this season. Soprenet really showing that she can hang in an open singles environment. Males, females, doesn't matter. She's constantly showing up as maybe Bubenheim, always right there as a female in a man's field. I feel like Soprenet is starting to really push the envelope there as well. And then we know what Thorne's doing right now. I think the two of them could come out and win this shootout for. Sanchez and Sims, we talked a little bit about them last week. Now I have to start talking about them as a potential team to win. I mean, we saw what they did at the National. Sanchez defies my logic and continues to make it deep. What if they come out and win something? You know, I mean, this one's in Texas, right? So we've got Texas in Texas. We saw what happened in Florida. We had the ladies, you know, we had Frazier out there, you know, in the Superhole. So I think it's cool for these locals to win these tournaments. Kano, doubles and singles. He's due for a win. I'm talking about Kano now as winning brackets, not necessarily making it deep in brackets. This guy's a bracket winner now, in my opinion. They came up a little bit short at the last one. Fisher kind of just, you know, he threw that roll bag at the end when I didn't think he needed to. They had that game on lock. They, in my opinion, they should be a double shootout winner right now. So coming back to try and get it done at shootout number 4. Jason Rubin and a Jordan Power sighting. So we know Rubin doesn't get out very often. Here's a case where he's going to be showing up. He's going to be a threat in both singles and doubles, both of them in that case. I don't know, Trey, do you have any in mind? I have about 5 more here I can talk about.
Yeah, you didn't get to the one that's sticking out the most to me. Jamie Graham and Eric Davis. I thought those guys don't play together.
They don't. So I think this is a little, Brett Guy and Matt Guy, you're going to do shootout 3 together. All right, we're going to come out and do shootout 4 together. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe that's what's going on.
The guys are back.
I think it is a little bit of that. I think part of the reason they did register together was because they were worried that Matt and Brett were going to go out to Miami and win.
Okay. Yeah, so they had to register. So they did it. That'll be interesting. You said it, Meesh. They don't. You know, I think it's more in Jamie Graham's court. I mean, I just don't think he can handle the, the erratic, like, shot selection. And, like, I think as an IQ guy, I think Jamie Graham's over there biting his nails, stressing out. Because it's tough to tame the Davis beast. But, I'm excited just to see what they do together, even though it's not necessarily a standard partnership.
Yeah,
for sure.
For me, I think the biggest the storyline is more on, or the thing I'm watching the most is on the women's singles side. When I look at women's singles, so far we have not broken serve. Cheyenne Bubenheim, Sam Finley, Rosie Streaker, pretty much.
Florida.
Yeah.
What's in the water?
So Sarah Cassidy is going to win shootout 4.
Yeah. So we haven't really, but in my mind, we haven't broken serve. I know some people can sit here and argue, well, maybe this person may be a little bit better than one of those 3. But if you go in and you say, name me 8 ladies that are going to win a shootout this year, 98% of people are going to have those 3 on the list of people that are going to win a shootout, right? So that's what I mean by we haven't broken serve yet. We got close. Lori, I think, was on the fringe of ruining that party for somebody, but she didn't. She will be there this weekend. So then the question becomes, will we get a break and serve or will we not? In my mind, when I look at this registration list, I would say there's realistically 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 4, no, maybe 5. We'll say 5 ladies that would not be a break and serve, in my opinion. Right?
I have 5 highlighted.
Let's see if we go 5 for 5. I got Kaylee Hunter.
Yes.
Cameron Belvin.
Yes.
Bella Soprenet. Connie Altice.
Okay, I had Allison Peters highlighted only because what she did at the last one. So that's a difference. And then you got Sarah Cassidy as your last one.
Yep. So we're 4 out of 5. So that, and you could argue, Peter, but my point is, like, those are who we expect to win the next 5 shootouts. But we know how these shootouts always work. What we expect to happen does not happen, right? Someone comes in and wins one of these when they're, quote, not supposed to, right? Doesn't happen this weekend, right? Nobody would be shocked if Bella Soprenet comes out here and wins this weekend. Nobody would be surprised if Sarah Cassidy wins, right? But if Vanessa Fillingham in her home state does what she does last year and she wins one and surprises everybody, that pushes the panic button on the rest of these ladies. If Nicole Pratt has shown what she does at some point and she really cranks up the intensity and has a really good showing, she wins the whole thing, she throws a wrench into everybody's plan. Does Lori Dool come back and say, hey, look, Rosie came in second place twice. I'm going to come in second place once, come out and win here? I could argue that she kind of throws a wrench in what people expect on all these different, because I expect the shootouts to be a little bit less and less attended. History tells us that's the case. As it goes on, people kind of lose confidence. They can't show up, they can't make it in the heat of summer, and ultimately they don't make it in. So I'm really watching to see, because I could even say on the men's side, we haven't really seen a break in serve either, to an extent. Now the men's singles is a larger pool, so it's a little bit different story. But when you look at, if I had told you beforehand, Kyle Malone, Matt Guy, and Tony Smith would have won the first three, you probably would have said, okay, makes sense, right? But ultimately, we're just waiting to see if that changes, and if we get, does someone else come in here and break that serve and ultimately get the win.
Yeah, on the men's single side, I'm just highlighting a couple names that are literally in a row. This one's going to be a dogfight. Look at this run. You got JBJ in the mix, Logan Chamberlain, Philip Lopez, Mark Richards, Alex Rawls, Jamie Graham, Fisher Hamilton, Ryan Windsor, Ryan Smith. Those were just the names right there in a row. Then you can sprinkle in a Dylan Turpin, who's killing it right now, Trey Birchfield, Frank Modlin won a bracket this past weekend. This one's going to be a dogfight. There's a lot of big names in this men's singles one. Hunter Thorne as well.
My gut says anytime we get in a shootout like this, it comes out to who gets the best draw out of rounders.
Bang.
Who has the path that, when laid out, they're not playing those guys 5 times in a row, right?
Right.
They're only having to play 2 of them, or they're having to play 3 of them, right? And the other ones they get someone that may not be on their game, whatever it has you. There's always a little luck involved when you're playing in these shootouts.
No, it's single elimination. So yeah, you better like your path. That's all you get. That's brutal.
And 12 rounds.
Yeah, exactly. It's time for buy or sell. I'm going to ask you or give you guys a statement. You let me know if you're going to buy or sell. The first one is that Lori Duel will win the next women's singles pro shootout.
Yeah, so kind of just talked about it, but I'm going to sell it. I thought Lori played really, really well, right? Made it all the way to the finals. She put Rosie right up to the end. I think she should have won. If you go into round 9 up 3,
sold.
I expect you to win. You got to win. And so because of that, she played well enough to win an entire shootout, which to me would have broken serve a little bit. So now she has to do it twice, which makes it even harder to do that. I mentioned all the players that are going to be in Fort Worth. Anthony called it a dogfight. I agree. It's going to be brutal, so I'm going to sell.
Anthony?
Yep, got to sell with the 5 names that we just listed. Look at Connie Altice coming in there and getting that done in women's singles this past weekend. That run that she had, you throw her in the mix too. It's all 5 women that I think could win it right now. They're in it. So to go with the duel right now, that you got to sell.
Noah Wooten is cornhole's biggest star.
Cornhole biggest star. Most of the time I read these ahead of time, and I didn't read it ahead of time this time. So this is the first time I've heard that, and I have no idea how to react to that.
If you define star as someone who has the largest loyal following, I'll buy it all day.
There you go.
Someone who has the biggest influence by if he puts his stamp of approval on something, or if he takes his stamp of approval off, he can actually sway metrics. So I would buy that he's the biggest star if that's the definition.
I'll sell it and say he's got the potential to be. He's got to clean himself up around the edges just a little bit more. But I look at Star a little bit differently, kind of one that has potential for the Tiger Woods effect, if you will, on cornhole. Like I said, he's got the potential, but he's got to get a little bit further. So I don't even know who I would give that to, but I'll sell it for now. I'd probably sell it on everybody right now. So
there's no stars.
I think those rough edges is what makes him a star. I think people respect the keeping it real thing. Now he does toe the line of if I go one little step here, I've crossed the line, but he toes it. I don't think he goes over it, and he's just a guy that some type of people seem to respect.
No. If you said, is Noah most of the time good for the game, I'd buy that line, right? So it's like, I don't even know. Again, maybe the question's throwing me off.
Okay, for our national series, there's not going to be any repeat winners of the different nationals, so we'll have all different kinds of people winning at each national.
I feel like I should buy this, right? I really, really feel like I should buy this, right? But if you look at Justin Burton Jr., Mark Richards, Devin Harbaugh, Kyle Malone, like Matt Guy, that doesn't even give you enough to span singles and doubles across the rest of these events. Do I think that one of those is going to get more than one? I do, actually. So I am going to buy it, even though I'm such a statistics guy and I should sell that every day of the week and twice on Sundays. I am actually going to buy it.
Okay, Anthony?
Man, that's good. And for me, I think it's doubles. I think that the repeat happens in doubles. I'm gonna buy it because of that. But that's tough. It does go against kind of the whole idea about how deep the field is getting and all these new people showing up, winning brackets, deep in brackets. But I think it happens in doubles.
All right. The roll shot is the most skilled and difficult shot to master.
I'll sell that. The airmail is still by far the most difficult shot in cornhole. People can argue me on that, but my point is, if you look at, if it was easier to throw than a roll shot, then why would people throw it instead of an airmail? Right? I mean, people throw it because it's a safer, more conservative shot, easier to accomplish than an airmail. An airmail is much more difficult. So I will sell it. The thing is, what makes it difficult for a lot of people is that if you've been around cornhole for 10 years and you have an established throw and you throw and your elbow and your release and your arm and everything comes out a certain way, and now all of a sudden this new shot is invented in which you have to turn your arm 180 degrees and you have to, your wrist manipulation has to be different. Of course, you're not going to be able to throw that roll shot, which is why many people will say, I don't know how to throw it. But look at these new kids coming into the game. They pick it up like this because if you want to learn how to throw a roll shot, your mechanics for throwing have to be this. And that's how they start throwing, and that's how they learn to throw. And once you learn those mechanics out of the gate, it makes an easier shot to pull up. So I will sell it.
Anthony?
I'm going to sell. I think the hardest shot is a back block. Actually,
interesting.
You know what? I don't. They're similar though, because both require you to not only be right, left, and right, but right, short, and long.
Yes, it's the consequence for me when you miss a back block. The consequence stings so bad. I can miss a roll shot and stay in a block. I can miss a roll shot and end up in a stack. I can miss a roll shot and end up back of the hole, somewhere collectible later. It's when you miss those freaking back blocks where someone comes behind you with a push and they're getting 7 off of pushing 2 bags, or, they're guaranteeing themselves 2 or more points. That'll sting. I'm going to go with a perfect back block.
Okay, rapid fire. Jamie Graham is still a top 10 pro. Buy, sell.
Yeah, sell. Not right now. Got to get better.
Anthony?
I have to buy. He was my top 10 player when we did it. Now ask me again after this weekend coming up in Fort Worth.
Will do. All right, hot takes. You got one, Trey?
I do. I'm gonna pick the weekend. All right, I'm gonna pick the weekend.
Okay.
I'm gonna go women's singles Bella Suprenant.
Okay.
I'm gonna go men's singles Justin Burton Jr. And I'm gonna go a little bit out on an edge right here, and I am going to say doubles hometown heroes Eddie Grindersleeve, Caleb Batson.
All right, Anthony.
Oh, you took it a step level. I was just going to pick singles. Now I got to pick the weekend. All right,
I know,
I'm going to go with the
I was
weekend.
just going to pick singles. I got to pick the weekend now.
Just pick singles then. Just pick singles.
Dylan Turpin in singles, Kano and Hamilton in doubles, and Sarah Cassidy in women's singles. Florida sweep.
All right, I'm just going singles. We're out of time. I'm going shake it up, Nicole Pratt. She can shoot over a 10 over a whole
Ooh, that's sizzling hot, Meesh.
Wow,
that is sizzling hot. That's your hottest hot take. Let's go.
All right, guys, that's all we have time for. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you all next time.